Last Wednesday morning, in Cleveland, Ohio, a 34-year-old dental hygienist named Anita Walsh sat in her car in the parking lot of her bank, looking at her savings account balance on her phone. The balance read $10,432. For 8 years, since she moved out of her mother's house at age 26, Anita had never crossed $1,000 in savings. Not once. Every emergency, every bad month, every unexpected car repair had pulled the account back down before it could grow. Last November, Anita decided to try something different. She'd seen a video about a no-buy challenge, a 9-month structured period where she would dramatically cut discretionary spending, redirect every dollar saved into the savings account, and not touch it for any reason short of a true emergency. She started the challenge on November 1st, 2025. She earned $58,000 a year as a dental hygienist. Her starting savings, $643. 7 months later, that morning in the parking lot, $10,432. Anita didn't feel triumphant. She felt almost confused. The amount was bigger than any savings balance she'd ever had in her adult life. The transformation that had happened around it was bigger than the number itself. In the past 7 months, Anita's car had broken down, requiring a $1,800 transmission repair. Her boyfriend had been laid off for 3 weeks. Her mother had needed help with a medical bill. 3 separate events that, a year earlier, would have triggered panic. Phone calls about emergency loans, credit card debt, missed rent payments. This time, none of that happened. The car got fixed. She helped her boyfriend through the gap. She helped her mom. The savings account took some hits, but stayed above $7,000 throughout. By May, it had built back to $10,400. That's the difference, not the dollar amount. The difference between making decisions in panic versus making decisions with breathing room. Anita had crossed a threshold she hadn't known existed. I'm Trish, and I sit across from people on both sides of this line. So the specific thing that changes once you have $10,000 in liquid savings, the 9-month no-buy framework that 9 out of 10 working professionals can use to cross the line themselves, and why this one financial milestone matters more than almost any other early in a wealth-building journey. You're going to know by the end of this video. Here's the data that explains why this milestone matters so much. According to consumer finance research across the past decade, more than 50% of American adults have less than $1,000 in liquid savings at any given time. Approximately 35 to 40% have effectively zero savings, living paycheck to paycheck, with any unexpected expense triggering credit card debt or borrowing. The financial impact of this is well documented. The mental health impact is dramatically larger and almost never discussed. People who live below the savings threshold make every financial decision under stress. Should I take this medicine my doctor prescribed? Should I get the car repair done now or wait? Should I let my kid join the school activity? Should I take this job that requires a 30-minute commute that costs more in gas? Each decision is filtered through, do I have the cash for this? The answer is usually no. The accumulated weight of those decisions across years is genuinely exhausting. People who cross the savings threshold into the $10,000 and above zone experience a fundamental texture change in their daily lives. The emergency expenses that used to trigger panic now trigger inconvenience. The medical decisions get made based on health, not finances. The job decisions get made based on career, not desperation. The relationship arguments about money become rarer because the underlying anxiety drops. This is not magic. The $10,000 itself isn't transformational in some deep sense. What's transformational is the shift in how decisions get made. Below the threshold, every choice is scarcity anchored. Above it, choices become opportunity anchored. The same person, with the same income and the same intelligence, makes meaningfully better decisions when the daily anxiety load drops. The other piece, Once you cross $10,000, the next $10,000 is dramatically easier. Because you're no longer using small savings to plug emergencies, the savings actually compound. Most people who get to $10,000 within 12 months are at $25,000 to $40,000 within 24 months. The first crossing is the hard one. After that, the system runs on its own. Today, I'm walking you through Anita's exact framework. The 9-month no-buy structure. The 5 specific life texture changes that happen above the threshold. And the after $10,000 framework, what to build next once the foundation is in place. One thing before Anita's framework. The no-buy approach has gotten popular online, sometimes in extreme forms. Don't buy anything for a year. Cut all coffee shop visits. Eat only what's already in your pantry. The extreme versions get attention because they're dramatic. They also fail at high rates because they treat the savings goal as a deprivation contest instead of a structural reset. The version that actually works, the one Anita used, is structured, time-limited, and designed around breathing room rather than punishment. 9 months, not a year. Cuts discretionary categories thoughtfully, doesn't eliminate quality of life. Has a specific dollar target and a specific end date. This is the version Aunt Linda gave Anita the week she started. Linda, Anita's mother's older sister, is a 68-year-old retired school cafeteria worker who built $230,000 in retirement savings on lifetime earnings under $34,000 a year. Linda has run this same framework her entire adult life in modified forms. She knows what works and what doesn't. Linda's first piece of advice: the point isn't to suffer for 9 months. The point is to learn what you actually want versus what you've been buying out of habit. If you suffer, you'll quit. If you discover, you'll keep going. Here's what Linda taught Anita. Anita started on November 1st, 2025. She set her target at $10,000 by August 1st, 2026, 9 months. She knew she could save approximately $1,200 a month if she was disciplined. The math worked out to $10,800 by the end. Some buffer. The structure had 3 categories. Category 1, eliminate completely. Anita identified specific spending categories that produced no genuine value in her life and cut them entirely. Not reduced, eliminated. The DoorDash account. She had been spending about $180 a month on food delivery she could have made at home. Cancelled. 3 streaming services beyond Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Apple TV. She watched maybe 4 hours of content across all 3 monthly. Cancelled. The monthly Sephora visits. She'd been spending $80 to $120 a month on makeup and skincare she didn't need. Stopped going entirely. Online shopping in general. She stopped opening retailer emails, unsubscribed from promotional lists, deleted the Amazon and Target shopping apps from her phone. The friction of having to deliberately go to a website to make a purchase reduced impulse buying by approximately 80%. Total eliminated category. Approximately $420 a month. $3,780 over 9 months. Category 2, reduced significantly. Other categories where she still spent, but at much lower levels. Coffee shops, from about 4 visits a week to 1. From $130 a month to $35. Restaurants, from about $260 a month, mostly with her boyfriend, to $80. Clothing, from approximately $90 a month to $0 unless something specifically wore out. Gifts and entertainment, from approximately $100 a month to $40. Total reduced category, approximately $325 a month saved. $2,925 over 9 months. Category 3, keep without guilt. This was Linda's specific instruction. Identify the things that genuinely make life better and keep them. The savings comes from the elimination and reduction categories, not from a generalized misery experience. Anita kept her gym membership, $45 a month. She kept Netflix. She kept buying her favorite shampoo and conditioner. She kept the once-a-month dinner out with her best friend. She kept the small monthly contribution to her church. The keep without guilt category mattered psychologically. Without it, the 9-month period would have felt like punishment. With it, the framework felt like deliberate choices about what mattered. Total monthly savings achieved, approximately $1,150 a month, plus an unexpected $200 monthly contribution from no longer carrying a credit card balance, which had been costing her about $200 in interest. Total monthly redirect, about $1,350 a month into savings. Across 9 months, approximately $12,150 in savings contributions, minus the $1,800 transmission repair and approximately $400 of helping her boyfriend during his layoff gap, net savings of approximately $9,950, plus interest from the high-yield savings account brought it to $10,432 the morning Anita checked. The math worked. The math had been completely visible from day one. The execution was the hard part. The 5 texture changes. What's different above the threshold? Change 1. Sleep gets meaningfully better. The constant background anxiety about money, the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the spiral thinking about bills, the dread of opening the bank app, drops dramatically. Not entirely, but the chronic edge of financial worry softens. For Anita, this was the first thing she noticed. Within about 3 months of consistent savings growth, she was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. The Wednesday she crossed $10,000. She'd had her best week of sleep in 8 years. Change 2. Daily decisions become opportunity anchored instead of scarcity anchored. Below the threshold, decisions get filtered through, can I afford this without falling apart? Above the threshold, decisions get filtered through, is this what I actually want? When Anita's car broke down in March, the decision was repair it or replace it. Below the threshold, this would have been a panic decision based on whatever option required the least immediate cash. Above the threshold, she ran the actual math, talked to a mechanic, got 2 quotes, and chose the repair option that made sense. The same decision-making capacity now applies to job offers, relationship decisions, family commitments, health choices. The mental space to think clearly is itself a form of wealth. Change 3. Relationship arguments about money decrease sharply. Money is the leading cause of relationship conflict in American couples. Most of the conflict is downstream of scarcity-induced stress, not actual disagreement about values. Anita and her boyfriend had argued about money roughly weekly through 2024 and most of 2025. After the savings crossed $5,000 in March, the arguments dropped to maybe once a month. After crossing $10,000, they've barely had a money argument at all in the past 6 weeks. The savings didn't change the underlying values. It changed the underlying stress level that was driving the arguments. Couples who cross the threshold together often discover they actually agree on most things. They just couldn't have those conversations under chronic financial pressure. Change 4. Negotiation capacity increases significantly. Anita's job at the dental practice had been driving her crazy for the past 18 months. New office manager, increased patient load, declining workplace conditions. Below the threshold, she couldn't quit because she had no buffer. The toxic situation had power over her because she was financially captive to it. Above the threshold, the same situation became negotiable. She could have a direct conversation with the practice owner about conditions. She could threaten to leave. She could actually leave if needed. She had 4 to 5 months of expenses saved and could comfortably search for a new job without panic. She had that conversation 3 weeks ago. The practice owner addressed several of her concerns. The job is now meaningfully better. The negotiation power came directly from the savings. Change 5. Opportunity taking becomes possible. Below the threshold, opportunities that require any upfront investment or risk-taking are inaccessible. the continuing education course that costs $400, the certification that takes a few weeks of reduced hours, the side business that requires $500 of initial materials, the trip to interview for a better job. Above the threshold, these become possible. Not all of them, not immediately, but the option exists. Anita's looking at a dental hygiene specialty certification that costs $850 and could increase her hourly rate by $4 to $6 over time. A year ago, this would have been impossible. Now it's a decision she can actually make. The after $10,000 framework. What comes next? 3 principles for the after. Principle 1. Relax modestly. Don't fully unwind. The 9-month no-buy period was deliberately strict because the goal was to cross the threshold quickly. Once across, Anita doesn't need to maintain that level of intensity, but fully reverting to pre-no-buy spending patterns would empty the account within 6 to 12 months and undo everything. The right approach is to maintain about 60 to 70% of the no-buy discipline. Keep the eliminated categories eliminated permanently. DoorDash, excess streaming, Sephora. Modestly relax the reduced categories. Coffee from once a week to twice. Modestly add back the kept without guilt categories where genuinely valuable. The goal of this hybrid is to continue saving at $400 to $700 a month indefinitely, allowing the savings to keep growing without the strict discipline being psychologically unsustainable. Principle 2. Diversify the savings into appropriate buckets. The $10,000 sitting in a savings account is the emergency fund. It should stay there, in a high-yield savings account currently earning around 4%. Future savings should start flowing into other buckets. Roth IRA contributions toward retirement, covered in earlier videos. HSA contributions, if eligible, covered in earlier videos. Eventually, a brokerage account for medium-term goals. Anita's plan after May. Keep the $10,000 emergency fund intact. Direct the next $400 to $700 a month of savings into a Roth IRA at Vanguard. Build the retirement bucket in parallel with the emergency fund. Principle 3. Protect the milestone with structural safeguards. The most common pattern after first crossing $10,000, slipping back below within 18 months due to lifestyle inflation, an emergency, or gradual erosion. The wealth building doesn't proceed because the threshold keeps getting recrossed in the wrong direction. Anita followed both. Her $10,432 sits at Marcus by Goldman Sachs, separate from her primary checking at her local credit union. Transfer takes 1 to 2 business days. The friction is the feature. 3 objections come up here. Let me handle them. Objection 1. I don't earn enough to save $1,000 a month. Real concern. Real adjustment. The framework scales. Anita earns $58,000 a year. A working professional earning $35,000 a year may only be able to save $400 a month using the same structure. The 9-month timeline becomes 24 months. The endpoint is the same. The framework also reveals income-side opportunities. Many people who run the no-buy structure discover that side income, a few extra shifts, weekend gig work, skill-based freelancing becomes much more attractive once they're already in disciplined spending mode. Adding $300 to $500 a month of side income on top of $400 to $600 of disciplined spending cuts can compress the timeline significantly. For very low-income households, the absolute target dollar might shift down. Maybe $5,000 instead of $10,000 represents the threshold for that household's actual emergency expense profile. The principle is the same. The number adjusts to your situation. Objection 2. I have credit card debt. Shouldn't I pay that off first? Mostly false framing. Most personal finance experts now recommend running both simultaneously. If your credit card debt has interest rates above 20%, pay it off aggressively, but also build at least $1,000 to $2,000 of emergency savings concurrently. The reason, without any savings, the next emergency goes back on the credit card and you're running in place. The right sequence: build $1,000 of emergency savings first, 1 to 2 months for most. Then aggressively pay down credit card debt while maintaining that base. Once debt is gone, redirect those payments into building the savings up to $10,000. The whole process takes 18 to 30 months for most middle-income households, but produces lasting change. Objection 3. What if a real emergency hits before I cross the threshold and wipes everything out? Real risk, real fix. This is the structural fragility that traps most people below the threshold. A car breakdown, medical event, or job loss before you've built enough buffer does wipe out the early savings, and most people give up at that point. Anita had 3 events that drew on her savings during the 9 months: the transmission, the boyfriend's layoff support, and her mother's medical help. None of them ended the framework. She kept the structure running. The total saved came in $1,800 lower than her target, $10,400 versus $12,200, but she still crossed $10,000. Most people who fail at the framework don't fail because of emergencies. They fail because of psychological abandonment after a small slip. The framework requires continuing forward through imperfect execution. Action steps: 3 steps. This week. None of them require a single dollar of additional savings to start. Step 1. Tonight. The category audit. Pull your last 60 days of bank and credit card statements. Categorize every transaction into 3 buckets: eliminate, reduce, keep without guilt. For each transaction, ask, does this purchase make my life genuinely better, or am I buying it out of habit, marketing influence, or stress relief? Honest answers about your actual purchases reveal your actual spending patterns. Most people are surprised by how much falls into the habit bucket once they look closely. The audit produces your starting list of categories to cut, not aspirational, actual. 30 to 45 minutes tonight. Step 2. This week, the high-yield savings account setup. Open a high-yield savings account at a separate institution from your daily checking, currently paying 3.8 to 4.5%. Don't link it to a debit card. Don't add the app to your home screen. Make it slightly inconvenient to access. That's a feature, not a bug. Set up an automatic transfer from your daily checking into the savings account the same day your paycheck hits, for whatever amount is realistic, even $25 or $50 a week. The automation matters more than the amount initially. 15-minute setup. Permanent infrastructure. Step 3. This month, the 9-month commitment. Pick a start date. First day of next month works for most people. Mark a 9-month end date on your calendar. Write down your target dollar amount based on your realistic monthly savings rate. For most working professionals, the framework produces $5,000 to $15,000 across 9 months. Pick whichever target your math supports. Tell one person, a partner, a close friend, a family member, what you're doing and why. Accountability dramatically improves completion rates. 3 steps: the audit, the account, the commitment. Anita started her 9-month structure last November 1st. You can start yours tomorrow. If this video helped you, or if you've ever stood on the wrong side of that threshold and wondered how to cross, do me one favor. Hit the subscribe button. This is the 30th video in this initial series. The frameworks work, the math is real, the decisions add up. If you've watched all 30 videos, start over from video 1. The patterns reinforce each other. The compounding of the ideas is the point. If you haven't watched all 30, go back. Watch them in order. Each one builds on the last. By the end, the system is whole. And whatever happens next, The first $1,000, the first $10,000, the first $100,000, the first paid-off mortgage, the first comfortable retirement. Every step starts with one specific move you make this week, with the specific number you're working with right now in the life you actually have. That's what this channel is for. Specific moves, real numbers, your actual life. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow with the start of the next 30 videos. I'm Trish. Talk to you then.